the Jazz head coach had no idea that Michael was sick. And I was just like, how do you not know? I mean, the dude's like grabbing onto Pippen for dear life, basically like sweating the entire floor into a lake.
Yeah.
And he visibly looks terrible. But you're just like, man, that damn Michael, he looks just as young as he used to.
This is the first time hearing it. It's too bad they really portrayed Jerry Sloan in these couple or just like footage appearances. They just really made him
Like a
look
moron.
the exact opposite of what his career amounted to. Like very successful back-to-back finals appearances. Yes, he lost them both, but also Hall of Fame coach to John Stockton, Karl Malone, like a bunch of really good people. So
The
that
Mormon
didn't
squad.
that didn't yeah that didn't portray him in the best light.
I think Jerry Sloan's walking away going like, damn, I look good. I
Why
never.
didn't they ask me to make a cameo? Actually, is he still alive?
Uh, I'm gonna hope so that he is.
Hope to hear from you, Mr. Sloan.
I think we have become your biggest fans.
Thank you for all your work. I'm looking it up right now.
All right.
Hold on.
And after that, they kind of talked about the sentiment that silently that Kerr and Michael shared over how their fathers both were murdered and how they said they
He's
never.
alive.
Oh,
Oh,
thank
sorry. No,
God.
sorry, not the fathers. I said that at the worst point. No, Jerry Sloan is 78 years old.
It's a hoax.
Sorry, everyone.
Jerry Sloan is alive. Unfortunately, neither of the fathers are.
No, sorry, everyone.
And that created quite a bond between the two players, I think. But that's what Kerr kind of alluded to. But they also said they didn't talk about it. So I think it was just one of those like understandings that like you don't want to
Yeah,
talk about it.
an unspoken bond, like understanding that there's just a deeper thing than just your teammate camaraderie and your brotherhood on the court, I guess.
And stealing all of your money during blackjack.
Dude.
And if it wasn't the punch in the face that tied them together,
I love you, man.
You said you really enjoyed Kerr in this episode.
Yeah, I was really happy that they I wasn't too sure because in the advertisements leading up to The Last Dance, you saw that Steve Kerr was on there, but you also saw people like Barack Obama and just other
Chicago
very,
resident Barack Obama.
like very recognizable people, especially in the sports world. But then obviously some of those really famous figures weren't a key part, and so I was kind of wondering like, oh, is Steve Kerr going to come back and have more cameos? So I was pleasantly surprised to see that in episode 9 he got a decent chunk. It's unfortunate that the information they were disclosing was yours and my first time hearing it, but also it's sad that had to be the reason that they were talking about him so much. But I like that it kind of showed a little bit of his evolution into what became a very iconic moment in the 1997 NBA Finals.
Yeah, where basically it was that Kerr was doing really bad in Game 6, and and it just didn't look like he was going to shoot his way out of his slump. He said role players only get like 5 shots a game.
Yeah, and he was just screwing the pooch on every single one of them.
But he said like you can't let every shot have more weight than the other if you have such limited opportunities, because that will lead to like your detriment. And then he basically said to Michael, or Michael said like, you better be ready because the ball is going to come to you because I know the double team's coming. And Kerr said, I will be ready. And then he hits that jumper, and he said he basically earned his wings, he felt like, on that team.
And something else I really liked from that couple minute period when they're talking about that shot too is Steve Kerr in the very beginning of it all was saying that he first came to the Bulls. He was initially drafted by the Suns and was there for a year. Then I don't remember if he directly went to the Bulls after, but
he
when
went to
he
the
got
Cavs
to the Bulls,
and then the Bulls.
yeah, that's what it was. And then when he got to the Bulls, that was John Paxson's last year. And of course, earlier in the documentary, there was that brief little part about how in the finals against the Lakers, it was, where Phil Jackson went up to Michael Jordan and was saying, like, it's great that you're trying to take all these shots and, obviously you're a great player and everything, but if you start trusting your teammates more, then that's what's really going to create success. So then he looked at him and was like, well, who's open? And Michael Jordan said John Paxson. Um, and so it was, and then John Paxson obviously went on a roll and on a tear, and they ended up winning against the Lakers in that finals. But then to see Steve Kerr saying that John Paxson took him under his wing, and then eventually Steve Kerr had his own John Paxson moment at the hands of, Michael Jordan assisting him. I thought that was a nice little, again, a nice little evolution into how Steve Kerr became an integral part of the dynasty, as it turns out.
Yeah, they really closed out, I feel like, Kerr pretty well.
Yeah.
I feel like that was Kerr, they opened and closed Kerr pretty quickly. They're like, here's Kerr's life. And that's the end of Kerr. All right, let's keep rolling.
Right. Get back in your cage.
All right, this is Michael's show. He's paying for it.
I think one of my favorite parts of the whole documentary is Steve Kerr at the rally where he made he was like, so, Michael Jordan said, hey, look, fella, I'm not really comfortable in these situations, but Steve said, why don't we give it to Steve? So I had to bail out Michael Jordan again, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. Steve Kerr definitely has a lot of personality. Like, he's not just some. I don't think Kyle Korver has the same personality that Steve Kerr does.
No, and I think someone who okay, so I think this is where we're gonna differ a little bit, but I think Steve Kerr is a great coach in today's NBA because he was a 3-point specialist, but also he wasn't, I guess, a 3-point specialist relative to the majority of the success for the Bulls and the second three-peat.
Mm-hmm.
But so the fact that he was more of a role player, and as he put it, he and other players on that team got to become overachievers because of Michael Jordan's urging that they perform like that. I think it's in all major sports too. I think it's people who are role players with a broader understanding of the way that, each moving part to the whole of whatever respective game they're a part of, the way that that works. I think that's what makes a really great coach. And even though he's got a very talented Warriors roster, obviously, I think the reason that he is such a great coach is because he's a player's coach, because he knows how to relate to each individual cog of the whole,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like the glue. He's like the glue guy in coach form, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the way to look at it.
Yeah.
So the way that episode 9 closed out was that they talked about Game 7 of that Pacers-Bulls series. Basically, the media does what the media always does. They're like, this is the end. But Michael does something that no one really does, where he basically guaranteed it and said, yeah, we're going to win Game 7. Like, there's no problem. We're going to win. And after another slow start for the Bulls being down 12, Steve Kerr hits a clutch 3 after a jump ball that was allegedly, they said if they didn't win that they felt that series was over.
Yeah, because in the Pacers, if they had taken the shot, if they had gone up the court and taken the shot and made it, they would have been up 5 with I think maybe 4.5 or 5 minutes left.
Yeah, which back then was really hard because threes weren't prevalent, so you couldn't shoot your way out of a deficit really.
Exactly.
And spoiler alert, the Bulls won. I know, that is shocking. And the thing that I thought was notable is there wasn't a heavy amount of Michael scoring, it seemed, in that late portion, but that could also have just been the way they filmed it. But they also said that this was due to their championship DNA.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if maybe there wasn't as much of a Michael takeover because there wasn't any sort of direct influence or any sort of direct chip on his shoulder. Obviously, the media was saying, and there were different members of the media who made appearances in the Last Dance talking about Game 7 of the Eastern Conference. Like David Aldridge was he said it, I think, 3 or 4 times. He was like, oh, I really thought this was it. I thought Game 7 was going to the Pacers, especially in the last couple of minutes. I thought the Bulls dynasty was over.
When David Aldridge popped on, did you also want to just press the A button over and over and hope he just went away?
Yeah, he's the worst on 2K. I don't know if you've ever listened to David Aldridge on 2K, it's because you're not actually listening. It's because you left the room to go get a snack or something.
And the demo comes on.
Yeah, it's so dumb. But it was him and a couple other people. But maybe there wasn't as much of a Michael Jordan takeover at the end of Game 7, and more of a team effort because it's not like you had someone like a Brian Russell personality or anyone And it's not even like someone like Reggie Miller, who's their best player, arguably, was even making a big fuss about like we're going to take down the Bulls. They had that confidence, but I don't think they were up in his face or saying anything to that regard. So I don't know.
Yeah, and that basically closed out episode 9. It finished with him and Larry in the hallway, where Michael basically consoled him the best way Michael Jordan could by saying, "You bitch, fuck you." And then he basically said,
Go work on your golf game.
"You have all the time in the world now." And Larry just laughed probably, but then like once he turned around, he was like, "Man."
starts crying like, God damn it.
He calls magic. He did it again. This transitioned then to episode 10, which opened up with a new Michael meme of him just flexing his early music release. And he's just like, bet you guys don't know what this is because I got it first. And then he just goes back to like bopping his head up and down to the music. And another notable thing early on was Michael's kids finally showed up. So that was interesting.
I think the documentary, maybe it's because as odd as it could sound, maybe 10 parts, well, definitely 10 parts is not enough to completely get every single perspective on the whole experience and the triumphs and tribulations of it. You probably would need like 20 episodes or more, maybe like, I don't even know. I don't even know if you could put a number on that, to be quite honest, but I was very surprised that his personal life didn't come more into it, with the exception of what happened with his father. But the fact that his kids didn't show up until episode 10 and there was just no mention of their mother, his first wife, who I think is Juanita Jordan is the I don't know what her surname is, but yeah, I was very surprised.
I could have done without one David Aldridge interview for more kids.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
And another thing, the reason they honestly brought them up was just to talk about how brutal playing in Utah was, that they weren't even allowed really in the arena, which once again, I know this comes as a shock. Utah Jazz fans are the worst fans in the league. And I know one player right now that could probably agree with it, and his name is Russell Westbrook.
Brody.
The Brood.
It's such a weird, it's just an odd thought. Like the land of the Mormons, you think like Mitt Romney is one of the most famous people.
John Stockton.
For me at least, I think of like Mitt Romney when I think of Utah, or like Jimmer Fredette. So
the pride.
I just see all the like someone just yelling at the top of the lungs of the documentary, like from the front row, like "fuck you, Michael Jordan," all this different stuff.
Jesus hates you.
Yeah, and they've got like fireworks going and all this different stuff. I'm like, oh my god, this is not what I thought Utah. I thought Utah was all like sister wives and green pastures and
polygamy.
Like everyone's a milkman or something.
They're all just giving each other milk, dropping it off at each other's doorstep. By the way, we will burn the sitter Michael Jordan today. Go Jazz!
I was very surprised.
John Stockton's like, dang, this is a quaint neighborhood. I'm so glad to be a part of an integral community. God.
Definitely not a cookie cutter lifestyle, I guess.
God, we live the dream.